Lots of people buy internet leads, but not very many people really understand the big picture of how an internet lead actually comes to be, and then what actually happens throughout the process, and even during the time that you're working that lead that you purchased. This is all what I call the lead ecosystem, and we're going to walk through it literally step by step. And what you're going to find at the end of this brief explanation of what the lead ecosystem looks like is that it's really more like the wild, wild west. And if you're not doing things with the right tools, and specifically I'm going to talk a little bit about lead management here within this video, you're going to find out that you may really be at risk of falling victim to the wild, wild west and what really happens within the lead ecosystem. So let's go through a typical scenario. Most leads begin as some web form that a customer has searched for or come across on the web, and they fill out, provide some information requesting a mortgage rate or some sort of mortgage quote. Once they hit the submit button, it goes in real time into the lead provider's database. And what goes on here, literally in a split second, is when you signed up to purchase leads from your lead provider, you probably gave several different characteristics that you were most interested in. Maybe the loan amount, a particular region or state, credit grades, a variety of different characteristics of leads that you were most interested in purchasing and getting provided to you. So when these leads come into this database, in real time, there's a little process that runs that sorts through all of these filters. This is what the lead provider calls all those requests. Sorts through their filters looking for the best person to receive that particular lead. And then, as you would expect, in most cases, most lead providers, these leads are provided out anywhere between 3 to 5 lenders, meaning that this one request is given to at least 3 to 5 lenders within their database of people who are buying leads from them. So that happens in a couple different ways. Some, probably the preferred way, is via a real-time XML transaction into a lead management system. That lead management system, or CRM system, hopefully automates the distribution of those individual leads as they come in to individual loan officers. And as you can see, I've got a timeline down here. In the ideal scenario, this is a real-time transaction. The filters happen very quickly. It's transmitted into your lead management system, again, within seconds. And so now you're actually working on the lead, trying to get the borrower on the phone, literally within seconds or minutes at the most. Now, some people actually get their leads in a slightly different way. And I'm going to show you what the risk is to your success when you get them in these different methods. Another way, so this is the first way, this is the preferred way, via real-time XML post into a lead management system. Another alternate is to actually have the lead provider, once they've filtered through them, actually send that information, that lead, as an individual email into your organization. Well, as you can imagine, once it comes in via email, which might be relatively quick, the sales manager or whoever has to be at their desk in front of their email application. Then once they see the lead, they have to make a series of decisions as to where that lead's going to go and, of course, forward the email. Well, assuming they don't sit in front of their email inbox all day long, that can take a matter of minutes, maybe even hours, perhaps even days. And so you can see very quickly that these individuals now are making their calls on the very same lead. Keep in mind, this is the very same lead that they're competing for. Through a lead management system, we're getting it in seconds or minutes. Via email, we're now talking about minutes to hours before you get to make that first call to the individual who requested information, a mortgage quote in this case. In addition to that, not only are you losing the race to compete, but think about the customer's actual impression. If I get a response to my request in a matter of seconds versus if I get a response to my request in a matter of hours or days, the customer experience is certainly different. So let's go through the third method. This is probably actually the most popular, but as you'll see here, the most likely to be against you competitively. So in this particular case, the lead provider is now doing somewhat of a manual process. They've done the filtering. They extract a group of data, okay, that meets your particular filter. So they're pulling out more than one lead. In both of these cases, they're sending them in real time as soon as they get the lead off to you so you can work on them immediately. In this particular case, we're still hanging out at the lead provider. They're actually extracting multiple leads, probably already with some age or some time on them. They're aggregating these together and they're emailing you a spreadsheet. So again, we've got time to aggregate several different leads that has been wasted. Now we're emailing. We know about the delays of the email process. We've already talked about up here. But now we have a spreadsheet that then has to be sorted and sliced and diced and then distributed to the individual loan officer. So again, now in this particular case of a spreadsheet, you're definitely moving into the hours to days range of the process. Okay, so as you can just see from these three scenarios why using a lead management software program and getting these leads in real time, one at a time, ready to be distributed, immediately called, has a ton of advantages. But now let me get into the wild, wild west scenario, because there's a fourth scenario that can really impact your need for the ability to use a lead management software and to be able to constantly be keeping up and following up with your leads even after this immediate time period. So this fourth scenario is, remember I said that lead providers are providing these leads out to anywhere between 3 to 5 other lenders. Well, if for whatever reason when they run these filters, they're not able to match as many times as they want to, so they're not able to match, say, 3 times, many lead providers, I'm not saying all, but many lead providers, and this is a good question to ask your lead provider if you're talking to one now, the alternate route is to send the additional leg, so this is the way lead providers talk about it, okay? The additional leg, or the additional distribution, they send out to a lead broker. And these come into a lot of different categories. It can be a lead broker, it can be an aged lead provider. There's a lot of different names for it, vintage leads, those sorts of things. But the important point that you need to understand here is that now there's an additional distribution here out to the marketplace. So now you're not competing with 3 folks or 4 folks or 5 folks. Potentially you're competing with those individuals as well as many individuals as this broker chooses to distribute, again through the same mechanism. So, and this process takes a little bit longer, so I should have actually probably drawn this lead broker, because usually there's some age on these, right? So now we're out into days when this lead broker comes into. So where this risk to your lead happens is literally days later, because the average aged lead or the average alternate leg to this lead, the additional competition, happens anywhere from 1 to 120 days out. Okay, so you've gotten this lead in real time, you're working on it, you're already competing with some of these folks that hopefully are using a less efficient system than you are because you're using lead management system. But then there's this additional risk that happens several days later. So if you're using one of these 2 processes, you may be able to compete with someone using a lead management system. But very quickly, since you don't have an overall database to manage these leads and ongoing follow-up and ongoing email drip campaigns, after this initial time period, not only are you probably not calling them on a routine basis, but once this additional sort of wild, wild west scenario kicks in and that lead is sold to an additional lead broker, potentially you have additional competition that's happening anywhere down here to maybe 30 plus days. So not only do you have some risk here in the short term, and hopefully making sure that you're using the most efficient process possible to make the very first call, because research has demonstrated that the first voice often is the one who closes that particular lead or gets the deal. But in addition to this, even if you're competitive here and you make a good shot at grabbing this customer, or maybe even close the customer, there's still this additional risk that if you're not using lead management to continue to nurture that lead, continue to market and keep a relationship with that lead, you could very easily lose it somewhere in that 30-day plus category. So hopefully this has given you a little more insight into the full picture of the lead ecosystem and why you need to concentrate on having a good process and a good system to manage you all the way from the immediate moments of that lead being submitted to you all the way out into the infinite lifetime of that lead and the infinite value potential that it'll have over time. We're actually Leads on Track, and this is the lead management system that we recommend, and we would love for you to visit us at leadsontrack.com and check out our lead management advantage, not only for the immediate lead result, but also your long-term marketing to that particular lead.